You're now on non-action items. City Clerk?
A is discussion for the purpose of establishing priorities for the 2020 budget on or before the third Tuesday of May and discussion of grant priorities.
Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Tonight is another step in our budget process. Tonight, our budget interim finance director, Nick Hawkins, will come forward and make a presentation regarding the determination of our budget priorities for this year. Nick?
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, members of the council. Nick Hawkins, interim financial services director. Stepping back into my primary role as budget and performance manager, tonight is usually kind of the overture or opening of the 2020 operating budget process, but we actually started our CIP conversation a little bit earlier, so this is turning into maybe the second act, if you will. So tonight, per the code, the city council under the governing body has to adopt budget priorities for the upcoming year that will guide the budget discussions that we have. You have to do this by the third Tuesday in May, and traditionally we've come to you in February to open up that conversation, and that's what tonight is about. Usually we end up adopting those priorities a little bit earlier in April so that we have that guidance as we set the operating budget and give guidance to departments to submit their budgets. So one of the things that we like to start off with is talking about our accomplishments from the previous year, and so that would be 2018. I'm going to walk through by the current 2019 or the current priorities that you've set. So on the investing and infrastructure side, we've continued our $2 million investment of general fund and motor fuel tax funding into streets to increase our PCI score, and that's a specific objective that you put into place a couple years ago to raise our pavement condition index score from a 55 to a 60. I can't remember if Jason said the number that we're at now, but we're at a 57 out of the 60, so we are making progress towards that goal. On public safety, so we've ensured equipment and technology being up to date through replacement plan participation, talking about our body-worn cameras, tasers. We also have leases on the fire department side for self-contained breathing apparatus, making sure that we're keeping up to date with necessary equipment for our public safety departments. On the court side, where we've continued with the alternative sentencing court in an efforts to reduce recidivism. We've also had impacts with the behavioral health unit and our homeless outreach team, talking about the photo IDs. On continuing commitment to developing neighborhoods, started initiatives that are innovative in nature to address root causes of issues. So one of the primary examples being our Team Up to Cleanup, where city departments have concentrated efforts and partnered with specific neighborhoods to address longstanding infrastructure concerns. On strategic investments in quality of life, this is really something where we've started building the framework of things in 2018. So starting work on Case Garden, opened up Camp Cowabunga at the zoo, development downtown, so the plaza is set to be on board soon, but we started the work for that in 2018. A number of utilities and alley works, demolition of things to make that project possible. On fiscal sustainability, we continue to receive an excellence in financial reporting, following best practices and being recognized by national organizations for our work in that area. And then one thing that opened up last year per the city manager's direction was improving processes and becoming more efficient through our rapid process improvement program. And we are starting our first event with that next week, and we've had a lot of pre-planning meetings. We're going to be talking about the claims process first, and we've got our first 6 events lined up. We're going to be talking about the budget book process, license applications, really looking at how we can make our services more efficient and spend more time doing things that we're required to do, analyzing the budget instead of putting together a budget document, things like that. So I'm excited for those projects to start taking place. Being said, there are a number of issues, and we highlight those during this time as well. So looking at 2020, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but we're starting to see this happen more and more. So we have limited revenue growth. We're closing out 2018 right now, but seeing the same trends in previous years, maybe a little bit higher than what we saw from 2017 to 2018, but still seeing that revenue growth be very stable when we'd like to see it maybe grow 2 or 3% like some of our peer cities. We talked a lot on Saturday about addressing deferred maintenance through our CIP program. We do a number of that work in our operating budget, talking about our fleet and facilities fund. So introduce some projects that would address some longstanding concerns in those areas that would be addressed in the CIP on the operating budget side, continuing with addressing those immediate needs that are not able to be addressed through general obligation bond dollars. Third, salary and benefit growth. This is one that continues to increase. Salary and benefits, our personal services are about 80% of the general fund's budget, and we saw continued growth in that area through healthcare, contract wages. We've continued to see growth in those areas, and that is contributing to some of the challenges that we're seeing in 2020. And then the continued funding for streets. So we have made progress in that area, but keeping up with that and keeping that commitment to funding our streets, and we'll see results of a citizen survey at some point that's going to tell us what the citizens think about that or what the residents think about that. But I'll wager that that's still a pretty high priority for them, and it's been a priority for this group as well. And then I put the property tax lid on there. We have not really had to go up against that because there have always been a number of exemptions that keep us from hitting that property tax lid, but it's something that we continue to think about. And when I show the calendar for the 2020 budget process, you'll see how tight a timeline that we have, and part of that is due to the property tax lid ordinance, our law. So what we ask for tonight is we can either retain or amend the 2019 budget priorities. Those are kind of our two options right now. A couple years ago, we did put in you put in specific objectives. They gave us specific guidelines, and that's kind of what we've been working off of and what we've adjusted in the last couple of years. We've largely kept the priorities the same, with the exception of for 2019, we did take out the improving performance and cost effectiveness and move that to the front of the document to make that an overarching priority to guide the discussion for the other priorities, meaning that improving performance and cost effectiveness should be a goal of each one of those priorities. So you have the budget priorities as part of your packet. There will be an ongoing discussion over the next couple of months. We'll work to get your feedback from residents through online and in person, to see what their priorities are and if there are any changes that you as a governing body would like to make to it. But again, this serves as our template for the upcoming budget process. So looking at the calendar, we have continued discussions on the CIP in March, and I know we're looking at another potential workshop date for that to have even further discussions on that. Still looking in early April to potentially adopt the CIP, and then also in April again adopting those budget priorities, so that gives staff more time to work towards that priorities when proposing the budget. One of the biggest pieces of the budget process is receiving the estimated valuations from the county. They give that to us by June 15th. And usually it's maybe a couple of days before that, but we start our first budget workshop in the middle of June, right after we get those valuations. And so we don't have a lot of time to necessarily analyze and put together what the impact of those valuations are. We usually have a pretty good estimate of what they're going to be. But for those who were on the council a couple of years ago, we estimated a certain percent based on information that we had from the county, and then it came back a little bit lower than that. And so we had to adjust our discussion midway through the discussion with you. Last year was a little bit of the opposite, where we got a little bit better news than we were expecting on that. So we're talking about what we have in the budget. That property tax is about 30% of our general fund budget. So that can color the conversation quite a bit. And having that at that time really kind of tightens the time frame that we have to discuss the budget. We would continue budget workshops and discussion throughout June and early July. If there is an appetite to increase the property tax levy beyond the property tax lid, we would need to know by June 18th in order to set the maximum taxes levied for that. If not, then July 9th would be the date where we would set the maximum taxes levied, and it's usually the week before that when we discuss budget amendments and try and get those on the books so that by the time we're in August, the budget is essentially set and any changes would be made through reduction in a certain area in order to increase another area. Because of primary elections in August, we are proposing to have the public hearing and budget adoption on the same night. Usually the hearing would come a week before, but because of primary elections, we won't have a meeting that first Tuesday in August. And then the budget has to be adopted by August 25th. So a pretty tight timeline as always for the adopted budget process, but wanted to put that out there. And I'll send this to you as a group in the next couple of days to get your feedback, especially on those budget workshop dates, because it is critical to have everyone there for that discussion when we go over the budget and discuss the specifics on that. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions? Councilmember Emerson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Hawkins, thank you for this. Just a quick question actually about the CIP. There were some documents on Saturday we asked that you were going to be sending out to us. Just any update on when we might be able to get those?
Yes, so we will be working on that over the next several days. We got all the questions, had our intern go back and rewatch the video, make sure we were capturing all the questions that you had. So we got those out to departments. We're going to try and have that back this week if possible. On some of the requests are things that we are intending to put in the final book, and we are working on those right now. Again, it's our intent. I'm not making an excuse, but with the lighter staff right now, I've got both of my employees that work for me are not with my group anymore, and so we do have 2 conditional offers. So I'm excited to share that for those positions. But we have someone from Public Works helping us out part time, so it's taking a little bit longer than normal, but we are working on it.
Are you on salary? See, you can work nights, weekends, we're fine with that.
I work 24 hours a day with a 2-year-old at home, so thank you. There's a lot there, but yes, we are diligently working on that, and we'll provide that information to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you. Oh, Councilmember
No,
Early.
sure. And just to clarify, what this does in your schedule is gives us the 20th. If for some reason there's some issues or whatever, we've got one more already scheduled meeting, right? I think that's really good.
There's always that option. We try not to hit that just because it is a pretty quick turnaround after we get the ordinance and get everything signed and pieced together. That does take a little bit of time, but
We usually have done that, and I just wanted to point, it gives us a buffer, because we've got a 4-week gap before we come back on the 13th. So if there's anything, we won't have time to do it before then. So, thanks. So I think it's well done. I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, thank you very much. That completes the non-action items for this evening. We will now proceed to announcement. Would the city clerk please read the preliminary agenda for next week?
On the 19th agenda for next week, we have, for appointments, we have one appointment to the Board of Plumbing Appeals. We have 2 appointments to the Topeka Landmarks Commission. Consent agenda, we have a special event for Tap That Topeka and expenditure ordinance. Action items include the ordinance and corresponding final plat for Sherwood Village subdivision. And then we have a resolution allocating transient gas TGT funds to Sunflower Soccer Association. And then we have the revised project budget for the City Hall renovation project. Non-action items include a discussion regarding cereal malt beverage and alcoholic liquor regulations. And then we have a discussion on City of Topeka Personnel Code relating to employee residency requirements.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, you have any announcements?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There's only one announcement tonight, and that is that our Planning and Development Department will be holding 2 public meetings for the city's comprehensive sign code update. This is an important code update. It is something that the staff's been working on quite a while to change the appearance of various signs within the community as they get considered. That meeting is going to be held February 26th at 1 p.m., and then there will be a round 2 of the same thing at 6 p.m., and it's going to be held at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library. So that's February 26th, 1 and 6 at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library if you're interested in our comprehensive sign code update. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Lester. Nothing. Councilmember Hiller.
Congratulations, Councilman Jensen, on the birth of Hunter. That's it.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you. Congratulations, Papa Bear over there. City Manager, I had asked for an update on the bridge.
What? I'm sorry.
I had asked for an update on the bridge, and I was thinking we could get it on the agenda. I know that you kind of gave us something on Saturday, but what I really wanted, it was on the agenda for the citizens of Topeka so they could see what's going on. Do you know when we'll get that?
Not specifically. We're still waiting for the final work regarding the design and when that changeover, I mean, the change has been made as far as the traffic, but the issue is when design will be done, what we can do for a construction schedule, when it would be open. We don't have that information yet, so that's why I haven't brought it forward.
Thank you. Communication would have been nice, though.
Sorry.
Have nothing. Councilmember Emerson.
Don't want to steal any thunder, but congratulations.
I just want to say very quickly, thank you for the discussion that we had tonight on the items before us. I appreciate the point of views that were brought forth that gave us pause to consider what we were doing and hopefully make the right decisions. I think it's important that we were able to do that and still continue to go forward and work together for the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Jensen, anything you want to say?
Nope, nothing at all. As you all know, 9 months ago, I brought forth a project to this committee that my wife and I were endeavoring to complete, and I want to tell you that we have delivered said project. A couple of weeks late, but, oh, God, no, definitely not under budget. My, y'all know what these things cost? Woo! I'm thrilled to announce that Hunter Roy Jensen was born on Saturday at 3 o'clock. He's a little boy. He weighed 8 pounds and 3 ounces and was 20 inches long, and everybody is home and happy. And I haven't slept since then. So you'll have to forgive my grogginess. I'm told I won't sleep for the next 10 years, so. 25. See, every time I turn around, it's somebody else. He's a wonderful little boy, and we're thrilled to have him join our family. Thank you all for your support. And I will add one other thing, that that little gadget thing that you all gave us is the only thing he will sleep in. And we recently discovered that if you plug it in, it rocks. Oh my God, it's been fantastic. So thank you all so much, and I appreciate the support.
You're welcome. Okay, Councilman May. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you for approving the Villa West project, the new Sherwood project, because, you know, not all projects can be downtown. And I just want to say I really appreciate your all support on that and helping moving that forward. Thank you.
Welcome. There is a need for 2 executive sessions this evening. Would the city attorney please read notice?
The motion is to recess into executive session for a period of time not to exceed 20 minutes to discuss upcoming employer-employee negotiations as justified by KSA 75-4319B3. In order to aid the discussion, the following individuals should be present: members of the governing body, City Manager Brent Trout, Deputy City Manager Doug Gerber, Interim Administrative and Financial Services Director Nick Hawkins, Human Resources Director Jackie Russell, Planning and Development Director Bill Fyander, Senior Assistant City Attorney Catherine Walter, Development Services Division Director Richard Faulkner, and myself.
Okay, we will continue when the room is cleared. What? Oh, okay, we need to vote, yes. First, second. Okay, those in favor, say, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. Gosh, dang, I almost had it. Almost had it.
Really well.
Right there.
There's a lot of stuff.
We have 9 yes.
Now we'll continue when the room is cleared. We have come out of the executive session with no action taken. There is a need to go in. There is a need to go into the second executive session, if the city attorney will read.
The motion is to recess into executive session for a period of time not to exceed 15 minutes for consultation with the city's legal counsel to discuss attorney-client privilege matters related to a tort claim as justified by KSA 75-4319B2. In order to aid the discussion, the following individuals should be present: members of the governing body, City Manager Brent Trout, Deputy City Manager Doug Gerber, Interim Administrative and Financial Services Director Nick Hawkins, Chief of Litigation Shelley Starr, Human Resources Director Jackie Russell, outside counsel Richard Billings, and myself. No action is anticipated to be taken when the open meeting resumes in the governing body chambers.
Do I have a motion? Councilmember Jensen, second by Councilmember Cohen. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. We will go into executive session when the room is cleared and the door is closed. There's a need to extend the executive session for another 15 minutes. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Emerson, seconded by Councilmember Padilla.
Sure.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, same side. We will be back in 15 minutes.
That's all right.
We've come out of executive session with no action taken. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.